Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. The paper we are solving today is IGCSE Chemistry October-November 2024 and this is the variant 22. Now, let's start with the first question. Oxygen melts at negative 219 degrees Celsius. Alright, so it is converting from solid to liquid at negative 219 and it is boiling at negative 183. So it is boiling, it means liquid to gas at negative 183 degrees Celsius. Right? So at which temperature is oxygen a liquid? At negative 219, it is converting from solid to liquid, and negative 183, it is converting from liquid to gas. So it should be a liquid at negative 189, something in between, right? So the answer should be B. Next, the pressure of a sample of gas is decreased, the temperature is kept constant. All right, temperature is constant. Now, if temperature is constant, it means kinetic energy will also be the same. So there should be no change in speed first of all. Now, when you are decreasing the pressure, so the collisions also decrease, then your answer should be C. Rubidium has two isotopes, this and this, which statement explains why both isotopes have same chemical properties. We know that chemical properties are defined by the valency, which means the electronic configuration. They have the same electronic configuration, that is why they will have the same chemical properties. Which pair of elements react to form a compound with a strong attraction between positively charged ions? So the attraction should be between oppositely, not positively, it is oppositely charged ions. Now, oppositely charged ions are positive and negative ions, and that happens in ionic compound. And ionic compound is made by metal and non-metal. So your answer should be C. Carbon and bromine both are non-metals, carbon, hydrogen both are non-metals, sodium, potassium both are metals. We need something with opposite charge, that is metal and non-metal ions. So answer should be C. Four substances P, Q, R, S are described. P is diatomic. Q is a good conductor of electricity when solid. Metals are good conductors of electricity when solid. So Q should be a metal. R is a silver solid with a very high melting point. We know that metals also have high melting points. And S reacts with oxygen to form a brown gas. Which substances are metals? So we know that Q and R both are metals. Your answer should be C. Which diagram shows the covalent bonding in a molecule of carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is CO2. You simply need to check what is the valency of carbon, 4, and what is the valency of oxygen, 2. So you get the idea. Both oxygen atoms would want to share 2 electrons each, and carbon is going to share 4 electrons. So it should be a double bond, right? Answer should be D. The bonding structure and melting point of sodium chloride and sulfur dichloride are shown. Sodium chloride is ionic, sulfur dichloride is covalent. Why does sulfur dichloride have a lower melting point than sodium chloride? So they're simply asking you why sodium chloride has a higher melting point. We know that sodium chloride is ionic and there are strong forces of attraction between molecules. So we need to pick an answer which mentions strong forces of attraction between molecules in sodium chloride compared to sulfur dichloride. Covalent bonds in sulfur dichloride are weaker than the attractive forces between molecules in NaCl. All right. We need to answer with respect to the molecules, not inside the molecule. When you try to heat something, boil something, melt something, you look at the forces between molecules, not within the molecule. So the covalent bond in sulfur dichloride are weaker than ionic bonds in sodium chloride. This statement is true, but does not explain why melting point is lower. When you try to melt something, you look at the forces between the molecules, right? Now, if you look at option D, the attractive forces between molecules in sulfur dichloride are weaker than ionic bonds in NaCl. So this is your answer. You need to answer with response to between the molecule forces. Diamond and graphite have Giant covalent structures. All right, we know this. Which statement describes graphite? Now we know that graphite has delocalized electrons and layers are able to slide over each other. So it has a rigid three-dimensional structure. No, it's not right. It has four strong covalent bonds. This happens in diamond. In graphite, there are only three strong covalent bonds. One valency is free. It has layers which can slide over each other. This is correct. It has no delocalized electrons. It does. It does have delocalized electrons. So your answer should be C. Which row explains the malleability and electrical conductivity? Now we know that electrical conductivity is determined by the free electrons, delocalized electrons. So it should be either A or C. Right? Positive charges do not carry the conductivity, electrons do. Now, malleability is simply when layers can slide over each other. Right? So rows of positive ions can slide over each other. Your correct answer should be C. The equation for decomposition of ammonium carbonate is shown. The total volume of gas produced is 360 centimeter cube at RTP. Which mass of sodium ammonium carbonate is decomposed? Now, this is a good question. They're telling you, the question is telling you that in total 360 centimeter cube was produced here. Right? Now, this 360 centimeter cube must have been produced in the ratio of 2 is to 1. Right? So I can say this is equals to 2x plus 1x. So 3x is equals to 360. X is equals to 360 over 3, which is 120. Now for ammonia, how much volume must be there then? 240. And CO2, how much volume must be there? 120. That is why 2 is to 1 ratio, and this will be 240, 120. Right? You can apply basic ratio as well to solve this. You get the idea. Now we have to figure out the mass of ammonium carbonate produced. Just think about it. We know the volume of ammonia, which is 240 centimeter cube. First of all, you should convert it into decimeter cube. So this will give you 0.24 dm cube. Now you can figure out the moles. 0.24 by 24. This will give you 0.01 moles of ammonia. Now check the ratio between ammonia and ammonium carbonate. It is 2 is to 1. So half of it. So 0.01 by 2, we get 0.005 moles of ammonium carbonate. Now, you know the moles of ammonium carbonate, they have given you the molar mass. You directly multiply 0.005 times 96. Your answer will come out to be 0.48 grams. That is the correct answer. Alright, I'll explain this again. What I simply did here is total volume was given and the volume is in the ratio of 2 is to 1. So you get the idea that ammonia must be 240 and CO2 must be 120. Right? And if ammonia is 240 centimeter cube, I converted it into dm cube by 1000. So it gives me 0.24 dm cube. Now you divide it by 24 to get moles, which gives you 0.01 moles. Now you check the ratio between ammonia and ammonium carbonate. The ratio is 2 is to 1. So it will be half. So 0.01 by 2, that gives you 0.005 moles of ammonium carbonate. Now you multiply that with the molar mass, you will get the mass 0.48 grams. Alright, now let's move on to the next question. This will require calculator, so just give me 1 minute. Let's erase this. Alright, what is the empirical formula of a compound that contains hydrogen 3.66, phosphorus 37.8, and oxygen is 58.5. We know that the first step we should do is divide with the atomic mass. So this will stay 3.66. You divide this with phosphorus atomic mass, let's say it is 30. So 37.8 divided by 30, 1.26. 58.5 divided by 16, 58.5 divided by 16, 3.65. Now you divide with the smallest moles, which is phosphorus here obviously. So 3.66 divided by 1.26. This is giving us 2.9. This will be 1, and this will also give you something like 2.9 only, right? So hydrogen is 2.9, phosphorus is 1, oxygen is 2.9. What do we do? You can round it off to 3. So it will be H3PO3. So the correct answer should be C. All right. Now, next question. Aqueous copper sulfate is electrolyzed using graphite electrodes. Which row identifies the product and observations at each electrode during the electrolysis? You're doing copper sulfate electrolysis using graphite electrodes. Now, for cathode, you know that you will have to choose between H plus and Cu2 plus. It's aqueous, so H plus must be there, and copper sulfate is there, so Cu2 plus must be there. We have studied only one rule, that less reactive ion will go to the cathode. Which one is the less reactive one? Copper. So at cathode, copper should be the product. Now at anode, we have studied that sulfate never gets discharged. So instead, you get this equation. And what is the product? Oxygen is the product. So your answer should be A. Alright. Let's move on to the next question. Molten sodium chloride is electrolyzed using inert electrodes. Now it says that molten, it means ions from water will not be present. So the only ions of Na positive and Cl negative must be present. Now you already get the idea. Cathode will attract positive ions. So Na will form, and anode will attract negative ions. Chlorine will form. D. You can remember this mnemonic, that is panic. Positive anode, negative is cathode. Now if anode is positive, it will attract negative ions. So anode, chlorine will form directly. Now, the equation for the formation of ammonia is shown. The reaction pathway diagram is given. You have to figure out the enthalpy change. Now, the energy here is not given, but they're simply telling you this is 250 and this total is 342. What you can do is you can subtract this. It will come out to be 92, right? Now just look at this, reactants are here, products are here. So it's an exothermic reaction. Reactants have more energy than the product, means energy loss must be there. So negative 92 kilojoules per mole. Very simple question. Sulfur dioxide is converted to sulfur trioxide in the contact process. The conditions are these with vanadium oxide catalyst. All right. Which row describes and explains the effect of changing conditions on the rate of reaction? If you do not use a catalyst, rate of reaction will be less and activation energy required will be higher. That is correct. Catalyst, if you add, it increases the rate of reaction and activation energy required is less. So this option looks correct. Higher pressure, so effect on rate will be higher. The particles will have more kinetic energy. More kinetic energy is due to temperature. Lower temperature, they collide more frequently. This is the opposite, so it is wrong. Lower pressure means higher volume. And higher volume means effect on rate will be low. Pressure directly affects rate of reaction, but they are saying low pressure, high rate. This is also wrong. So the correct answer should be A. Now, hydrogen gas reacts with iodine to form hydrogen iodide in equilibrium reaction. Which changes increase the yield of HI at equilibrium? It is endothermic reaction. Now, the number of gaseous molecules are 2 on the reactant side and product side also has 2. It means pressure is not going to affect equilibrium. When the number of gaseous molecules are same, pressure will not affect equilibrium, means your correct answer can't be an option which contains 3. So this rules out A and C for us. Right? Now, you know that catalyst only affects the rate, but it does not affect the equilibrium. So 1 is also out. Now you got the answer by elimination. We did not even apply much concept into this, but by elimination only you got the correct answer. Now let's discuss why D is the correct answer. When you add more hydrogen gas, means you are increasing the reactant. And you have studied the equilibrium principle. Equilibrium tries to minimize the change. When you are increasing the reactant, equilibrium would want reactant gets decreased. And reactant gets decreased when more products are formed. And increasing the temperature in endothermic, if you increase the temperature, forward reaction is favored. And forward reaction is HI, forming more. So answer should be correct. So D. Sorry, I'm a little unwell today. Now, the equation for the reaction of carbon with carbon dioxide is shown. So carbon is elemental form here, charge 0. Carbon is +4 here, oxygen is -2 here. Here, carbon is +2 only because single oxygen is there. Single oxygen is -2 only, right? Fine. Which row identifies the carbon atom that is reduced? Reduce means decrease of oxidation state. And you know that carbon is +4 here and carbon is +2 here. So this is decrease of oxidation state. So carbon in CO2 is getting reduced and it is reduced from +4 to +2. Your correct answer is B. Got it? Now, elemental form carbon is in zero charge and here it is 0 +2. So this is oxidation. This is not reduction. So C and D is already out. And A is not true because it is going from +4 to +2, not the other way around. So B is the correct answer. Sorry. Now, aqueous iron sulfate is added to acidified potassium manganate. The purple color of the potassium manganate disappears. We know that potassium manganate is an oxidizing agent. Aqueous potassium iodide is added to acidified potassium dichromate. A dark blue solution forms. Which row identifies the role of iron sulfate and potassium dichromate? You can directly remember this, that potassium dichromate is an oxidizing agent. Iron sulfate in this case is a reducing agent. So your correct answer should be D. Weak acid, strong acid. We know that weak acids partially dissociate, strong acids completely dissociate. So let's pick that option. It's this one, D. Which substance turns methyl orange red? It should be some acid, strong acid, right? So the correct answer should be B. This is base, and this is just water, distilled water, which doesn't even have ions. Which row describes zinc oxide and calcium oxide? Now, zinc oxide is a metallic oxide which is basic in nature. Calcium oxide is again a metallic oxide which is basic in nature. But zinc oxide is amphoteric as well. Right? So for zinc oxide, you will have to pick amphoteric, and for calcium oxide, you will have to pick basic. So your correct answer is D. Which row shows the properties of transition element? Are they catalyst? Yes. What is the color of oxide? It is colorful, so you can pick anyone. Fine. What is electrical conductivity of transition elements? It is good. So what is the correct one? Your correct answer is A. Fluorine is the element at the top of the group 7 of the periodic table. Which statement describes fluorine? Fluorine is a gas. It is not inert. It is not monoatomic. It is diatomic. It is non-metallic. Correct. It is solid at room temperature. No, it's a gas. So the correct answer should be it is non-metallic, which is C. Got it? Now, when aluminum is placed in dilute hydrochloric acid, there is no reaction. So when you do this, it's saying there is no reaction. This is a little surprising because aluminum is more reactive than hydrogen, so a reaction should be there. But it's not, because try to recall that fact. We have studied aluminum is reactive, so it forms a layer of oxide on its surface, aluminum oxide, which makes it unreactive. This is also why aluminum is used as foil to wrap up your food, right? Because it contains a layer of aluminum oxide which makes it unreactive. So it is coated with a layer of aluminum oxide. Your correct answer should be A. Which statement about the use of sacrificial protection to prevent iron from rusting are correct? Now, it's a tricky question. You need to pay attention to all the words. A more reactive metal is used, that is correct, than iron as sacrificial protector. It's all correct here. Because it undergoes reduction. No. Reactive metals undergo oxidations faster. What does the reactivity of metal means? It is more reactive. It means it will undergo oxidation faster. It will lose electrons faster. But it's saying reduction, so it makes it wrong. Zinc is used as sacrificial protector. That is correct because it gains electrons. Again, metals prefer to lose electrons. They form positive charge. They do not gain electrons. So statement 2 is also wrong. Copper is not used. It is not used. That is correct because it is less reactive than iron. This is true. We use something more reactive because it undergoes oxidation faster. So this is not used. It is correct. Magnesium can be used because it loses electrons more readily than iron. It is correct. Magnesium is more reactive, so you can also use magnesium. So correct statements will be 3 and 4. Option number D. Aluminium is extracted from its ore by electrolysis. What is the role of cryolite? Now, cryolite decreases the melting point, right? So it lowers the operating temperature. Yes. It lowers the boiling point. No, it decreases the melting point. So it lowers the operating temperature. Should be correct. Answer A. Now, question number 27. Which row identifies two greenhouse gases and three processes by which they contributed to global warming? We know that greenhouse gases absorb the radiation, they reflect it, and they emit it. That's it. They do not create the radiation. They do not create thermal energy, right? They're simply absorbing it, emitting it, reflecting it continuously. And the two greenhouse gases in our syllabus are carbon dioxide and methane. So answer should be out of A and C. Now A is saying absorption, creation. Creation is not there. So your correct answer should be C. Sorry. Which mixture contains all of the three elements in a typical NPK fertilizer? Ammonium nitrate plus calcium phosphate. Ammonium nitrate plus calcium phosphate. If this combines, it will form ammonium phosphate plus calcium nitrate. But potassium is missing here, right? Potassium is not present. Now, if you look at B, ammonium phosphate and potassium chloride. So nitrogen is there, phosphorus is there, potassium is also there. This should be correct. Potassium is here, nitrate is here, nitrogen is here, nitrogen is here. So again in this, phosphorus is missing. In this, potassium is there, N is there, but phosphorus is missing. So correct answer should be B. You should pick the one which contains all three and it's only B in this. Now, bromine reacts with butene. What is the displayed formula of the product? Now, what is butene? You draw four carbons, then it is saying 2 dash ene means double bond is present on the second carbon. So you put the double bond like this here. Now the remaining are hydrogen. So 1 minute. The remaining are hydrogen. So we can put dash for this. Now it is reacting with bromine. What all of you need to remember is it is an addition reaction, correct? Bromine will only add to the carbons which have double bond because this bond will get broken. Then one bromine will attach here, one bromine will attach here. So you need to pick the molecule which has bromine on second and third atom. Is it this one? It contains both on second atom. Wrong. Is it this one? It contains one each on first and second atom. It's not right because double bond was present here, not here. So this is wrong. Option C is correct because your butene was this. The bond got broken. One Br will be here, one Br will be here. So answer is C. Which statement is correct? Bitumen is used as a fuel for ships. No, this is not right. Coal, natural gas, and oxygens are all fuels. Natural gas, coal is, oxygen is not a fuel. Hydrogen is the main constituent of natural gas. No, methane is the main constituent. This is wrong. Petroleum is separated into useful substances by fractional distillation. This is correct. Which statement explains why ethanoic acid is saturated? We know that something is saturated when it contains carbon-carbon single bonds, right? So look for that option. It is C. Which statement about compounds in same homologous series is correct? We know that in the same homologous series, they have the same functional group, right? So, is it mentioning anything with functional group? No. They have the same chemical properties because they have the same number of carbon atoms? No. They have same chemical properties because they have same functional group. So, this is wrong. Same physical properties? No. No. They have different physical properties because they have different number of carbon atoms. This is correct. As you go from methane to ethane to butane to propane, you get the idea. Methane, ethane, propane, butane. Number of carbon atoms increase, so physical properties like melting point, boiling point also increase. So your correct answer should be D. Which row shows the properties of methane? See, methane is CH4. Is it soluble in water? It is not. What is the state at room temperature? It's gas. Gives a positive test for aqueous bromine? No. Positive test for aqueous bromine is given by alkenes. This is alkene. So answer should be A. The table shows two methods used to make ethanol. You know that one is fermentation and one is addition of steam to ethene. Which statement gives an advantage of preparing ethanol by fermentation? You know that first of all, fermentation uses a renewable resource. So is there any answer mentioning renewable resource? This is saying fermentation uses non-renewable. This is wrong. Then if renewable is not the answer, then you can look at the energy. See, 35 degrees Celsius required here only, a little above the room temperature. Here 300 is required. So a lot of energy use is there. In fermentation, less energy is required. So answer should be B. Sorry. Now, which equation represents an addition reaction? Now, we know that addition reaction in our syllabus is alkenes plus hydrogen or any halogen or steam, right? But is there any answer mentioning that? No, it's not. But what all of you need to remember is addition reaction only gives single product. And there is only one equation which is giving single product. Answer is A. The structure of part of a polymer is shown. How many amide and ester linkages are included in the structure shown? Amide linkage is this one. And ester linkage is CO and O bond. So this looks like amide linkage. This looks like ester linkage. And this looks like amide linkage again. So what is the correct answer? 2 amide linkage, 1 ester linkage. Your correct answer is C. Which structure represents part of a protein? Now we know that protein is made from amino acids, and the general structure of an amino acid is this. It has carboxylic group and amine group. Then there is some carbon chain and hydrogen on top. Alright. Now what all of you need to understand is single amino acid will have carboxylic on the other end and N on the other end. Carboxylic on other end and N on the other end. If you look at this carbon, the box represents carbon. Carboxylic here, then N here. Look here. Carboxylic here. Is there N here? No, it is. This is dicarboxylic. This is not amino acid. So this is wrong. N here, carboxylic. No, it's not present. This is wrong. N here, carboxylic here. This is correct. But this is representing an ester linkage here, which is wrong. So your correct answer should be A. Amide linkage is present, and on one side carboxylic, one side nitrogen should be there. Which piece of apparatus can be only measured using a single fixed volume? You know that burette's volume can be changed, beaker's volume can be changed, measuring cylinder can be changed, but pipette only measures 25 centimeter cube. If you have a 25 centimeter cube pipette, it will only measure 25, nothing more, nothing less. Answer is D. Pure solid copper nitrate. So you can obtain copper nitrate. First of all, this is a soluble salt because nitrates are soluble. It can be obtained from a mixture of copper nitrate and copper powder. All right. 3 stages in the method are listed: add water and stir, filter, crystallize. Now, You know that you're using copper nitrate, impure copper nitrate to form pure copper nitrate. It means you're still using a soluble salt to form a soluble salt again, right? It means it will be mixed in water. You will have to filter it out as well, because this copper will be in excess. Or you can say this will be undissolved because copper is insoluble. So you can simply say that you add water and stir, then you filter it out, then in the end you crystallize. Filter to remove the excess copper from copper nitrate, and then you crystallize it. So your answer should be X, Z, Y, which is option number B. Alright, now last question. Which row describes a test and observation for aqueous sulfate ions? This you can directly remember from your paper 6 salt analysis sheet. If you search it up on the Google, you'll find the sheet. It directly mentions that when you add dilute nitric acid and barium nitrate, white precipitate is forms for sulfate ions. It is a test for sulfate ions. You need to memorize this. And it is given in your salt analysis sheet. Alright. So we're done with the paper. In case of any doubts, feel free to let me know in the comments section.